it's hard to sit things properly in their compartments where they belong because everything kind of sits according to our feelings about them versus what they are and where they naturally fit. When you allow yourself to admit things and to let things flow through the natural cycle of healing, they settle themselves where they actually belong versus you putting them where you see them or see fit to put them in terms of categorizing your feelings and your emotions, categorizing events, categorizing things that have happened. Though we see things according to very injured emotions, injured feelings, according to a soul that's been injured. So it's not always easy to see things properly because you can't see things properly because your emotions and your feelings really do distort what you see. It's just that's how it is naturally from just what you experience in life. So a lot, it's also very common when things go uh, wrong or when you are insulted, when you are injured, when you are just the victim of someone's distorted opinion or outlook. Very, very common to raise the volume higher on other things in order to drown that out. It's uh, it's just a natural human reaction, but it doesn't naturally resolve the injuries that happen. A lot of things are not categorized as such, but if you think about it, if someone tells you something very rude or very disrespectful, I'm not talking about taken as such. I'm talking about very rude and disrespectful, referencing something about your aesthetic appearance, referencing something about your attributes or lack thereof, or the way you perform or you don't perform. How is that not registering as a violation to the brain? You know, those are the things that get stored and get repressed or suppressed inside of a person. There's no way that you walk around and people say insulting, rude, disrespectful things to you or have said those things on the journey, and you have uh, it has no impact on you or whatsoever. Words are very, 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 very powerful. They precede the things that actually happen to people, to you, things spoken about you, things spoken about other people over you. The things you say about other people come from somewhere, they have meaning. Therefore, words are definitely very powerful. They're words spoken before things take on a form, so to speak. You hope and wish for things in your heart, you speak them out loud, and then you work toward them. Well, the same goes when you aren't trying to work towards something, but you're still speaking about it. So the things people say to you are definitely impactful to you, definitely can be very painful and hurtful. And while you may not define yourself totally by it, it still affects you in some way, shape, form, or fashion. So I think it's very common to feel good about yourself or to have certain things going for yourself and also be injured in those areas, even though they're strong areas, because of people throwing a weapon or a stone at you. Think about it. If someone says something very jarring or very sharp, it's like throwing a stone or a rock or something that has weight. That does definitely, you feel it. That's what I'm saying. So it stays in there until you deal with some things. Let me just say that. Hey, this was said about me that was so hurtful. Honest, dump it. You know, that bothered me. That was that goes against what I've been taught to believe about myself, or that goes against what I'm working on with myself. So um, I don't think drowning things out is a solution, but it's definitely a reaction. It's definitely a response. It's definitely common. I mean, I definitely have done it, do it sometimes. And then I have to go back and deal with that thing because that thing, it doesn't just go away because I went forward. It still sits wherever it impacted me. Same thing for each and every person. And I was just talking today about the emotional wheels, the emotional cycle, the wheel, how emotions cycle. They sit in their recycle and then they go on a wheel. And whenever it goes on a wheel, because either being triggered or just because it's in there sitting, it's not just going to go away. It's going on a cycle. So when an emotion hits the surface, very oftentimes, that becomes the filter through which you see things, right? So you're going through life, you're seeing things you don't like, you're seeing things that affect you a certain way. That emotion that's just currently on the top of the wheel becomes the filter for how you're dealing with certain things at certain times. That's why sometimes you have a very extreme reaction to things, and other times you're much more calm about it. That emotion that's hitting at the top is saying, I'm still in here and I'm still bothered, and you are being affected. And how you're dealing with another person, a thing, a matter, is being affected by that emotion. And that will continue to go on until we start dealing with those things and allowing them to start settling and eventually discharging. That's why, that's just like anything else. That's a toxin to the body, to the mind, to whatever. It needs to be released, discharged, eliminated. It's not there to stay. It's not intended to stay. It wasn't brought in to stay. It wasn't ever released. It doesn't have a home to land that's comfortable. If it belonged in your body, it wouldn't wreak havoc in your body. So um, this is about that emotional cycle. It's about that filter that distorts reality for a lot of people. For us, the way we see things, the way we judge matters, one another, the way we see life stories, the way we add to pictures, and the way we fill in the pieces of a puzzle that are not necessarily organically fitting there, but based on how we feel about life and what we go through, we put it there. So emotions are necessary to heal. You can do everything in your life that's good, everything in your life accomplishing, but those emotions will sit in there and affect every type of relationship that you have. Your business relationships, your personal relationships, family relationships, romantic relationships. That's the way it is with us, because they're injuries and they echo the impact, or they echo whatever was done against us, or the wrongdoing, or things that were perceived as wrong. Things that you pick up that feel like injury, feels like wrongdoing, because it registered negatively. So, you can stand in the middle of a lot of different things that go well in your life and still feel horribly sometimes, because you've got this energy still sitting in there from something that has happened or been said that's impacted you in such a manner that it doesn't allow you to enjoy life, or to be hopeful about the future, or to endeavor on the journey without being interrupted. And then interruptions turn to disruption. So it all matters. It really does. You can't just do everything in one way without being affected by the feelings that stick around in your body. And believe me, no matter how determined and destined you are to do things in a forward motion, if those emotions are still sitting in there, they're going to infiltrate in some way, shape, form, or fashion. They just are. You can't do enough, spend enough, get enough to make an emotion shut up. It can calm down a little bit. You can turn up the volume on it, but it doesn't just go away. And that is encouragement for all of us to deal with those things. That's what a lot of quarrels and fights are about in our relationships. So that's another thing too. It's old injuries and trauma. They also tend to become stories, or they become a narrative. And the next thing you know, you're talking about something else about another person's life, and then those details that are still lingering around in your brain and in your mind, they get inserted in a story about someone else, because it has not been dealt with. And so it doesn't matter how old the injury is, doesn't matter how long ago something happened, doesn't matter how long ago you were robbed of an opportunity or something that really traumatized you, or you were mistreated in a certain manner by a boss, or by a family member, or an lover, I'm sorry, an ex-boyfriend or girlfriend or whomever or whatever it is. It's still there. It could be from when you were a little child. It could be from when you were a teenager and older. It's just, hey, injuries are not meant to stay there forever. They are meant to be healed. And that's the entire population. We all have to deal with that. And once you start going through that, you'll want the same for other people, so we can live in a peaceful, harmonious state internally, because really, ultimately, that determines the state of the world around us, literally. Okay, let's help each other, encourage one another to deal with our injuries and our emotions, so that we can have a more well-balanced life beyond other things that go right. The internal state of the soul is so important. It literally is the filter for how well you enjoy life and how well you get along with life and how well you are individually. If your soul is not healthy or well, then you're not well in some way, shape, form, or fashion. It's like a it's like a container. It's like a dumpster or garbage can. I'm saying the things, if you, that's not meant to be that, but it can become like that. But what I'm saying is any container that's filled with trash is meant to be dumped. So I'm encouraging to, let's get, to go through our inventory and get rid of some of those things that are really damaging and contributing to some toxic relationships and things that otherwise wouldn't necessarily be that way. So we're just going to help each other get the air clean. Amen.